Hey everyone, just wanted to record a quick update here to let you know what has been happening and why I haven't been uploading so much this time. Actually, it has nothing to do with the fact that I haven't been working on music or something like that. In fact, I have been working on music the most the past 2 months, but I have been so busy with the work and with all the different projects and indie game projects that I'm working with that I just simply didn't have the chance or time to take care of this other stuff, which is posting on YouTube, which is doing the artworks, which is working on my own tracks also. I also have a lot of material of my own which is not intended for any game or anything like this, that I created myself, and I'm simply just not having the time. Like, for instance, maybe some of you heard that I had 2 electronic album releases, Life Infused Music Part 1 and Life Infused Music Part 2, and in fact, like, in the same time that I composed those albums, I composed Part 3. So, and that album is probably already like 2 years old or something like this, and I just had this idea that I wanted to post them one in each year, so 2019, 2020, and 2021. So I'm definitely, for instance, I want to release that, but I still want to double check the tracks because a lot of the music that I wrote back then, I come back to it now and I hear, oh, I could add this, I could change this, I could make this better or that better, whatever, so it's just like a never-ending work. But anyways, I should just stop it. I should just keep it how it is, and I should just do the export and dedicate a few hours to do everything and release them and release it finally. In fact, I wanted to release it for July 3rd, which was my mother's birthday. I don't know if you heard or know. I was sharing in the post in the YouTube community tab about my mother that she passed away. So anyway, so I wanted to really release this thing on July 3rd. In fact, the first album, Limb Part 1, I call it Limb because it's like Life Infused Music, Limb Part 1, Limb Part 2. So I wanted to release that as well. I released that on July 3rd, so it will be really dope if I release the third part on July 3rd as well. So that has been happening. I have been working on some rock tracks actually called Spring Thoughts. So I have another project called Spring Thoughts and Amelioration, which focuses completely on indie rock, alternative rock, grunge. It really unites. I really try to unite all my influences, all my musical influences in that album, which I think I talked about before: Switchfoot, Godsmack, some of the Incubus stuff. I cannot remember them all in my head now. There's just too much stuff. Weezer, Tool, what else there was? My god. Anyways, all these different bands that I've been listening in the 90s. Radiohead, first album in particular, and all this acoustic, Linkin Park, of course. Anyway, so these albums, this is a project dedicated to rock music, and before it used to be an EP. It had like 6 tracks, 5-6 tracks, And right now, actually, this 4th release, I want to make it a full-scale album, and I'm not sure yet on the name, but I think I'm gonna call it Spring Thoughts Part 4, and that will be probably, well, originally I just wanted to have it as a trilogy. Same with the Limb Part 1, Limb Part 2, Limb Part 3. Same with the Spring Thoughts, I have Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. But I don't know, let's see how it goes. I'm not sure yet on the name, but the point is that there's 11 tracks. They are pretty much ready, but each track just takes time to keep developing. Like, the whole picture is ready, so I have 11 tracks, I know what it's gonna be. But now I come back to it and I keep listening to it and I keep finding new things that I could add. And I should just stop doing it and just release it how it is. Otherwise, I'm just never gonna release this stuff. And new material keeps accumulating. It keeps accumulating. At this point, I have so much stuff already that I wouldn't even know where to start, I am now finally finished with most of the stuff that I had to do on my in my personal life, which was working on getting education. I was helping my brothers also after mother. Some other stuff that has been pretty tough. but now I finally should have the chance to do it all, you know. And also it has been important for me to, and that's I'm talking about music that I create myself, you know, on my own. There's also this other project that is called EXO, which is dedicated to electronic music, and I want that to become its own entity. And I have been working on tracks that are like dance music, house, progressive, deep house, drum and bass. Everything electronic will fall into that category. So there is a lot of plans, but there's just not enough time. I guess that's the thing. And what I wanted also to say is that I have been working on a lot of different game titles, but I haven't been working on anything large scale, like full soundtracks. It's a difficult road. As I'm saying, I have been working full-time as composer now for about 1.5 years, but I haven't been able to fully dedicate myself because I was always distracted either with family or with my studies for the bachelor's degree that I was getting, this kind of stuff. So it really took a lot of time out. And I have been working on a lot of different games also, a lot of indie developer games. I've been talking with a lot of different indie game developers, and there's a lot of stuff where I worked on 1, 2 or 3 tracks or 4 tracks. I think the last full scale like big tracks that I worked on, which was like 10 tracks, it was like the Regime soundtrack, you know. Snoot's Adventure is going to have bigger scale soundtrack, but for now everything else is just like 2 tracks, 3 tracks, around that. So I have accumulated a lot of material there also that I would love to release, because it's really cool, and it's something that really represents my music in these days, you know. And I'm not sharing that because I'm working with the client, I'm doing the tracks, and then I'm not having the chance to share it online, you know, like, because I just don't have the time, because I have to keep working, have to keep looking for new projects also, because as I'm saying, that's what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find less projects but more long term than more projects in the short term, you know. Instead of doing 10 projects, which is for instance what I did, like in the last two months I've worked on like 6-7 projects where I contributed with 2-3 tracks. Instead, I would just love to work on 2 projects that have each one of them 10 tracks, you know, or another 10 tracks. But anyways, it's a tough industry, especially when you're at the beginning, and especially when you're doing it all alone. Basically, I'm doing everything by myself, all this musical stuff, everything. I handle all of it on my own completely. I work on the music myself, I talk with the people myself, I find the work myself, I communicate, I negotiate the prices, I try to find more ways, try to get bigger gigs, and all of this is on one person. So it really takes the time out, and it doesn't change the fact that I really just want to work on music and share it on YouTube. I want to make it regular, I want to post regularly. I don't so that's why it has been tough. I don't have yet any Legacy of Kain upcoming releases for now, even though I do have something that I want to finish and I could post it, some of the spectral versions. So for instance, the tracks that you already heard that I released, a lot of those tracks I worked on them on spectral versions of the same tracks, so they're like slightly different. So I think that's something that I will post also somewhere down the line this year. But for now, I'm just trying to focus myself, try to find the projects. I'm trying to find some new approaches also. So actually, if you guys know anyone, or if you know someone that is working on a game and is looking for a composer, please, I would just so much appreciate it if you pass down my contacts and I could work with them. At this point, I'm even thinking that I will be, I don't even know, I think I will be trying to contact also some of the publishers, because this is something that I want to do, but it's tough because it takes a lot of time to communicate, to find the projects, and then working on them, of course, also finding the project that is right, you know, that they like the kind of style that I work in, that they like this, and everybody's picky, and everything is like a lot of hustle, and then at the end of the day it's just 2-3 tracks. It's difficult. So I'm really hoping that in a year or in 2 years, some of the projects that I worked on that are going to be presented as demos to the publisher, or because that's usually the way it goes. The game developer works on the game and then they present it to the publisher, and then if the publisher likes it, they finance it, you know. I hope that some of those projects that I worked on that are short term right now, that are just 2-3 tracks, and you haven't heard too much about them or anything, I hope in a year and two from now they will get there, they will get publisher, and then I could work on them already as a full-scale soundtrack, which is what I want to announce, you know. Actually, I recently lost a deal because I was working on the soundtrack Dead Fury, and it was amazing. I was talking with the main lead, it was fantastic, super awesome guy, and then they started to talk with the publisher, and then the publisher basically changed the composer because they want to hire somebody in-house. They want to hire their own producer. It wasn't because they didn't like it, because my sound was worse than their sound, but it's just that that guy works for them. It's their guy, and this is their money that they put into this game. So they're going to. So that's why it's. So they're deciding who's gonna be doing what, you know, and. So it's tough, you know, and that's why I was like, okay, so sometimes you can work on a games project, like you work like 3, 4 tracks, 5 tracks you make, then they submit it to the publisher, and then the publisher is like, okay, he decides to finance the project, and then he's like, but you know what, we're not gonna take Kyle because even though he already made some tracks, but we have our own people here, so we're gonna work with them instead, you know. So it's really tough. That's why I was thinking that I should try and get in touch with publishers as well. I'm also working on getting a demo together, like a demo reel, because I already have a demo reel that represents some of my work, but I want to make it fucking awesome. I want to put some of the footages of the games and put some of my music to show what kind of stuff I could create. So I will be like trying to find that balance, you know, between working and also between posting the stuff and sharing and still working on my own stuff, you know. So this is something that I really wanted to do, and yeah, and so just fingers crossed that all works out. I'm just kind of coming back. I was on a vacation on Carpathian Mountains, so perhaps await some cool videos from Carpathians as well. And just having now the time to finally like sit down, check it out, what is going on, catch up with the people, try to talk with the new people, but and yeah, and just hopefully all works out, and fingers crossed all works out basically, you know, and everything goes awesome. But anyways, I have many updates coming. I have many of those 1, 2, 3 tracks from different games that I worked on upcoming. They're super cool tracks, and they're all in their own genre, but they're really awesome. And yes, and I hope that I can give you also consistency in the soundtrack, just like it was with Regime or with the Tonal Miner, or other stuff that I just cannot remember, just like the bands I cannot remember right off the bat in my head, but I can remember the same. I cannot remember the same with the games, but it has been quite a few projects for sure. So let's just see how it goes. And yeah, and at the end of the day should just be getting more connections and working more. So if anybody has anyone that knows some developers, that knows some publishers, please feel free to let me know or contact me personally and let me know, okay Kyle, look, I know this guy or that guy, so that I could get in touch with them and try to get this stuff, try to get new projects and keep going and basically keep working it out as a composer. Definitely tough, but it has its rewards. And of course the biggest reward is to work on the music, which is incredible. I love to do that. I just wish that it didn't take, like at the end of the day I work on the music like 30% of the time, like 40 maybe maximum, and all the other percent of the time I'm talking with the people. I'm discussing which track they want, which kind of sound, like this or like that, or do you want it orchestral, and then you work on the track, and then that takes also time, and sometimes it's awesome, sometimes it's down, sometimes there has been too much, but it has been like 2-3 times that I worked on the tracks, and then they at the last second they say, oh, I don't like it, we didn't like it, or something like this. There's been some amazing projects that I super loved. I love the gameplay, I love the game, it looks insane, it looks so awesome, and then they want some other kind of sound, and I'm like, what? And I'm trying these kind of different sounds. Again, you see difference in style, you know, and I was like trying to put, and I was showing to all my friends and showing to my brothers and everyone, like, look, don't you think this music goes so awesome with this gameplay? And they're like, yes, it's fucking amazing. And then no, they want some cyberpunk when they have like a medieval setting, I don't know, Anyway, so you know what I mean? It's just really tricky working with people, of course, it's always tricky. But anyways, let's see how it goes. I hope it's gonna catch up. Everything's gonna be fine. I'm already exporting some of the stuff that I'm going to post soon. Some of the music that I worked on. I even worked on country music. That's insane. Something I never worked on before. But I was working on that as well. I was working on this other amazing project that I wanted to get, which was like folk music, like Slavic folk music, you know. And I did like 5 demos for these guys, like different stuff, you know. But it's very difficult to make folk music if you are just alone, you know. Folk music has to be made always with musicians, live musicians playing. And I just did my best, and the guys were like absolutely uncommunicative and like at the end of the day just not giving a shit about the effort that you're putting into it, you know. And that's a lot of the times is how I do get my projects, is that I make a demo and I show them, okay, look, do you like, okay, check it out. If you like my sound, I'm gonna go ahead and like if you like the track, I'll make like a quick demo, you know. And if you do like the demo, then we can talk already on full scale and work full scale together. And a lot of the times I did the demos and they just went to nothing, and I just have like maybe about up to 15 tracks or so, not so much, but that have been made but haven't been used anywhere because of this or of that. And it's no problem with the sound itself, the tracks are great, it's just that it has to be right for that game. And I'm talking with many other people also, have to try to catch up. I have a huge list of people that I have to follow up in 1 month, in 2 months, in 3 months, in half a year, in 1 year. This is a super long term stuff over here, and I wouldn't be sharing well, I'm sharing some of the stuff from the musician's perspective, but anyways, so yeah, all right, so this sounds good. Just like an update over here, keeping posted, and new stuff coming soon. All right.